The Super Bowl has come and gone. Welcome back to Grand Slam Sports. My name, Jay Songe, alongside me,
Charles Foster.
And I'm Nate Long.
As you can see, a little bit of Valentine's Day theme. It is Valentine's Day today. You guys, you wore pink tie. I didn't wear anything. I'm not very festive, obviously. But we'll get into the Super Bowl that's come and gone, and it was a blowout. The Eagles scored 34 unanswered to begin the game. They won 40-22. It was a blowout, guys. That's simply put.
I mean, it was not a fun game. As a fan, as a neutral fan, it was definitely not exactly the game that we would want to focus on. But let's talk about the Eagles, and we'll talk about, I'll give you credit. You did predict a whooping of the Chiefs. I thought that they did a really good job. I think that the team looked good, and Jalen Hurts, despite that one awful throw, had a very good game.
That one awful throw wasn't even his fault. I mean, it was a bad offensive audible, and they left him go right through. But other than that, I mean, the Eagles just destroyed them defensively. I mean, that front seven of the Eagles' defense was incredible. I mean, just incredible, getting pressures on half of Mahomes' dropbacks. That was the reason why the Eagles won the game. That's the reason why it was such a blowout, because that Eagles D-line and linebackers destroyed the Chiefs up front in the trenches.
I think that was one of the things that we thought that might be a problem for the Chiefs is that Eagles front seven, because you have so much talent with the Jalen Carters, the Nolan Smith, with everybody I can name off. The talent on that D-line is insane. The linebacker group is also fantastic. But the thing is, they didn't blitz once in that game. Not a single blitz package was thrown at the Chiefs, and they had, 6 sacks and 3 turnovers that they forced?
I mean, it's that Georgia Bulldogs, D-line, linebacker, everything. All of the above. I mean, this is a team that built their defense slowly through the draft, and there aren't very many big, super all-stars on that team. But it's just a lot of dogs, literally, coming from the Bulldogs. That team is great, and the defense is good. They're fast, and I think they did a really good job at making Mahomes uncomfortable, like I said they needed to do. And I mean, it just showed. They absolutely BTA last night.
Yeah, and Mahomes just was off his game the entire game. We'll talk about Mahomes a little bit later, but he did not perform very well at all. He wasn't making the simple throws. A couple drops to DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce. The throws weren't on target. He just did not have a very good night at all. And if you were the superstar you are, I'm not sure if you can have those setbacks in the biggest game of your life. To try to win a three-peat, you can't play that badly.
Let's get into that Mahomes talk. Obviously, Mahomes, multiple-time Super Bowl champion, multiple-time MVP. What does this do for his legacy? Obviously, he got blown out. He didn't play a great game by any means at all. But does this affect his legacy at all in the long run?
I think it does. I mean, I really think it does. Overall, I mean, you're looking at Tom Brady. What did Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, they played each other, right? Brady won the Super Bowl. Brady won the AFC Championship game. And now they're both 3-2 through the first 5 Super Bowls. So they're setting up to go notch for notch with each other, except that Brady has one thing over him, is it the wins. And what Mahomes needed to do to take Brady as the GOAT and his legacy as the best quarterback of all time, he would have to beat Brady or win more Super Bowls. And where he is right now in his life as a football player, I don't know if he's going to get to 8. I don't know if he's going to get to 9. And he doesn't have the win-to-win against Brady, so that's always going to be a knock on him. So when you say it like that, and the fact that both of the 2 Super Bowls were blowouts, I think that really hurts Mahomes' legacy as becoming the great quarterback. Yes, he's going to be one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, no matter what, because of how great his first 7 years was. But as the greatest quarterback of all time, it really knocks on him.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really hard for him, but I'm going to kind of go on the opposite end here of I think it does hurt his legacy against Brady specifically, but everyone else, he's still the best quarterback in the league. He had a great game for the rest of the season. He had one bad game. Yes, it did come at the Super Bowl, but I don't even know if as much of it was him as the fact that he was just absolutely mauled in the pocket. And we see it with any quarterback. Even the quarterback that we're praising for how well they played in Jalen Hurts was – I said that he is uncomfortable. Whenever he gets attacked in the pocket, he makes mistakes. Mahomes he's human. Any quarterback, if they're getting pressured enough, is going to make mistakes. And I think that is what we saw with Mahomes. It wasn't necessarily as bad of a performance by Mahomes. It was more or less his receivers, other than Worthy, weren't getting open. Kelce wasn't able to, we saw drop passes. We saw a defense that wasn't playing really well. And then we saw the other side of the defense absolutely mauling him in the backfield. I just don't feel like it's as much of Mahomes as it should have been.
And you talk about the receivers and tight ends. I don't know if we should put as much blame on that, or maybe it's a little bit of blame on Andy Reid in the play calling. They ran 7 run plays against 2 high safeties. When you see a 2 high safety look, you're supposed to run the ball. You're supposed to run them out of that formation, and they did not. They didn't attempt to run the ball at all.
Well, I think it's a thing. I mean, the running backs aren't viable. I mean, you have Kareem Hunt and Pacheco, who's fresh off an injury still. The running backs just aren't going to be the level that you need them to. Obviously, the Eagles, they have Saquon Barkley, so they can just run the ball and make them, get out of that look. But the Chiefs, they just didn't look like themselves the entire game. They couldn't figure out the Eagles' defense. And as credit to Vic Fangio, their defensive coordinator, he played right. He played it perfectly.
Yeah, I think it was a good game on all sides of the field for the Eagles, and just not a good game. And play calling really did go, like you said, because my biggest issue was, I mean, you have Kareem Hunt, who is consistent, and you start Pacheco. I know he's coming off injury, but I mean, you have the running game. You at least have to make it seem like you're going to run it.
Let's go ahead and take a look at Travis Kelce. Obviously, there's been talk, will he retire, will he not retire, will he stay for a few more years with the Chiefs? He didn't play a great game at all. I don't know if he got one look at the whole game. He just didn't look like he wanted to be a part of it at times. Do you guys think he should retire, or should he not? Should he stay for at least one more year with the Chiefs?
I don't think he's going to go out like that. Kelce, he's, in my opinion, a top 5 tight end, arguably top 3. And he just had his worst season of his career. I don't think Kelce's done yet. I believe that Kelce needs to at least give it one more year. His fairy tale ending is not over yet. But, I mean, it also does, lead the risk of, if I have another bad season, then I'm hurting my legacy even more. So, I mean, there is that weighing, and I do, think he's going to weigh that decision. But if I'm him, I'm going at least one more year. I'm going one more.
And you actually said my point exactly. It's going to hurt his legacy. And I don't think he's the type of player to play until his brakes fall off. I think he realizes that he's lost a step. In his career, he had 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons from, I believe it was 2016 to 2022. His first 2 years, he had about 800, 900 yards. And this last season was his worst yardage with about 830 yards and his worst touchdown number with 3. He is on the decline. Year prior, he had 900 yards and about 5 touchdowns. He's on the decline, and I don't see a way that a old player, as in Kelce, a guy who is really big in the pass game and cutting, when you get older, you can't cut as well. And that's his big part of his game. Rob Gronkowski played as long because he played physical. He didn't have to run by guys. And I think that's what Kelce thrives on, is that explosive, and he's losing that. So I think he's going to realize, kind of like his brother. His brother could have kept playing, Jason Kelce for the Eagles. But he stepped back. He said, you know what, I got a family, and I don't want to go until the brakes fall off. That's why I think Travis Kelce may call it quits.
I see both sides. I'm going to agree with Charles. I don't think this is his ending. I don't think this is the way he's going to go out. I think he gives it one more year, and I think next year is his last. I think he goes on that kind of that retirement farewell tour kind of thing. I don't think this is it for him. You can tell. I just don't think it feels right for Travis Kelce to end his career with the way that they lost. But the draft's coming up now. That's the next thing that's going to be on the calendar for a lot of NFL fans. And I want to ask all 3 of us who we think our team should pick with their draft picks.
Well, my first team, I'm the Cleveland Browns fan, and a lot of heartaches, a lot of sad times through life, especially through the draft. We don't know how to draft well. From Johnny Manziel to anyone you name, other than Myles Garrett probably, we cannot draft. Baker Mayfield was a great draft, but too bad we left him out to dry, and now he's playing great with the Buccaneers. That's for a different day. Who I think we are going to draft, I think either it's Cam Ward or Travis Hunter. And I think it's kind of a toss-up depending on what the Titans do. And you never like to be in that situation where you have to rely on a team to not pick your guy because the Titans have the #1 pick. But right now, we need the best available player. And Travis Hunter would be that. But we also need a quarterback. And if Cam Ward's going to help us win more games, I think he's the best overall player for our team. Because right now, we don't have a quarterback. Jameis Winston is a free agent, and I don't honestly, do we really want Jameis Winston back? Maybe, maybe not. But those are the top 2 guys. And then the third, Dean from Penn State, who we talked about before the show, a big Eagles fan, so maybe not going to be a lifelong Brown. But Abdul Carter to pair with Myles Garrett, maybe make him a little bit happier, make him stay. Please.
Looking at the Jets, I definitely think the Jets need to go. I think we're going to focus on D-line or O-line. I think if Abdul Carter stays, if Abdul Carter's still there, we're taking him, but I think that we're going to go towards Mason Graham. I think that's where Mason Graham will fall, and I do believe that, or I think going O-line, Will Campbell, things like that. Colts, what do you think of?
Tight end from, Penn State, Tyler Warren. We need a tight end. A tight end fits our scheme perfectly. We have 4 mediocre tight ends. Maybe, Molly Cox is the best one of those 4, but he's not an NFL tight end reliable. He was a basketball player in college. He's not supposed to be, tight end in the NFL. Tyler Warren is a generational talent at tight end. Mm-hmm. This guy is something else. And I think he falls to 14. I think it's possible. I think it's feasible. And if the Colts don't go him, I will riot. But if he is gone, then I think we need to go to the defensive back room and pick Malachi Starks from Georgia, their safety. Because safety has been a problem for us. Deep passes has been a problem for us. We need to get a safety or a defensive back that can slow that down. And Malachi Starks from Georgia is the perfect guy. You know, the Dogs defense always produces a great talent in the NFL. So I think Starks or Warren is the Colts' pick. But now we'll look into our rookie report for the week. And Charles, I believe we're beginning with you.
So my rookie is Jace Dolander. He is the current one of the pitchers for the Colorado Rockies. He's currently in the Double A right now. He struck out a third of the batters that he has gone against, and he's currently estimated to be in the 2025 class. So I think the biggest reason why I picked him is that Dolander is on a team right now where pitching is awful. I mean, the Rockies' pitching is awful. But he also plays at Coors Field, which is the worst place for any pitcher to play at because of the altitude and how far that ball goes. And I think coming in with Dolander, he is going to have to be, you know, something that the Rockies haven't had in a while, and that is a consistent pitcher. And I do believe that they're going to call him up potentially opening day, and I think that he is going to ball out because, in my opinion, he's the first actual pitcher on this Rockies roster that I'm actually somewhat excited about.
Will it actually change anything for the Rockies? 60
no,
wins,
but it will
61
be a start.
wins?
It'll be a start.
It'll be a start. We'll look into the NBA now, and I'm going with Zach Edey. I know we've done it before, but this guy just played his first game back in Canada at Toronto, dropped 13 points and 15 rebounds. Had a homecoming game for the ages. And if you look at his plus-minus this season, he's plus 192. That leads all rookies. When this guy is on the floor, he is one of the better players at any time. I mean, he's 7'5". This guy's a demon. This guy is a generational talent, in my opinion, and he can be a long-term NBA player, which I didn't think that a few years ago.
I always said he would be. I always was a big believer on Edey. I don't think you need to have the three-point shot, all that, to be a good big in the NBA. It's just not like that. He's a traditional big. He's working really well for this team. Grizzlies are on fire. Nate, what are you feeling?
Cooper DeJean. He's not a safety. Cooper DeJean had an incredible game in the Super Bowl, had a pick six, 3 tackles. I mean, he was they were about 14-0. Mahomes wanted to get that drive, and he threw the pick to Cooper DeJean, and he took it all the way to the house. That was a point in the game, I think, where it snapped. I think the Eagles knew that they were going to win and take that game away. Cooper DeJean was the reason for that. Because who knows? Chiefs, they go on a drive there, 14-7. Everything changes at that point. I think Cooper DeJean was the playmaker in that instance, the pick six, to put them over the hump.
And for that to be his first career pick
on his birthday
Super Bowl, on his birthday in the Super Bowl against Patrick Mahomes, the storyline was perfect for Cooper DeJean, and what a play he made. But there's a lot going on in the world of basketball right now, a lot to talk about, and we'll get to that next on Grand Slam Sports. Time to get into the world of basketball, and we have a milestone to begin this segment. Kevin Durant reaching 30K points. Well deserved for this guy.
Best scorer of all time. I stand by it. I will always stand by it until someone one day passes him up. I think the biggest question right here, you know, of course, congratulations to KD, but despite him hitting that, that's not what anyone cares about right now.
Yeah.
The biggest question is, where is next for KD after the shocking revelation that the Suns are trying to trade him?
Who knows where Kevin Durant's going to go. And when you look at Kevin Durant as a player going over that 30,000, I don't think that puts him any higher on anyone's all-time list. I think the only way he can go up in anyone's all-time list is with another championship. And right now, you said a ring, Charles, a ring. Because all he's got right now is 2 rings with a loaded team in Golden State. Other than that, he's gone to other places, and he's had talent around him. That Nets failed team, I mean, they had talent to win championships. And that Thunder team, I mean, you can just name them off. Kevin Durant needs another championship to put himself as one of the best ever. Right now, yes, great, 30,000, one of the best scorers, but that doesn't put himself as one of the best ever.
See, I don't know where he fits. Because, I mean, I think he was fine in Phoenix until the Suns said, actually, we're going to try to shop you and get rid of you now. But I don't know what fits him best in the long term. I mean, he still has 2 or 3, 4 years maybe in his career, but he's getting up there in age, and what team wants to take a chance? I think, Charles, you have an idea of who you think might want to take Kevin Durant.
I have the team that I think has been interested and should just be the fix, and I do believe that they're one star piece away from being a contender, is the Houston Rockets. I think a young team where KD is the bona fide star, the bona fide person with the ball in his hands. You have a great center in Alperen Sengun, a top 5 center. I truly believe that the Rockets have the pieces to give, the picks to give, to where with him, they're already the 2nd seed in the West. With KD, they turned that notch. It's finally getting away KD from the super team era and getting KD and a bunch of ballers, a bunch of players that fit, but are just missing that one key piece to making it to the next.
I can go from the same point and name a second team, and they're actually right here, the Grizzlies. They tried last second to trade for him. It is a possible, scenario that he can go to the Memphis Grizzlies. And it's a thing also with a young team that could use a veteran like Kevin Durant.
Yeah, I don't hate the Grizzlies pick either.
I just think, what are they giving up for Kevin Durant? And I think that both those teams that we've mentioned, both the Rockets and the Grizzlies, is that they have a good team chemistry. And when you put Kevin Durant has not been a very good team player. So I don't know if that really pushes them over the hump.
I like the Rockets pick because it would make him be able to be that number one option. I think with the Grizzlies, he would still have to, fight with Ja. But, I mean, we'll see. I think a lot can be said about what's the next for KD. But I do believe what's next is definitely not the Phoenix Suns.
We know the Mavericks lost their mind last week, but their fans have too, and now they're ejecting fans, guys. It's gotten a little bit out of hand for the Mavericks. And just thoughts on what's going on with Dallas right now?
I think it's soft. Your team just made a decision to trade your franchise player, and because people are not happy about it, you're kicking people out of buildings. I think it's soft. I don't like it. I think the perfect example of, fans are the reason that you have anything. I think the best example of a good protest was the A's last year whenever they did the boycotts. And I think a lot of people realize Oakland fans are never the problem, it's the owners. And Dallas fans are the same way. They're not the problem, and kicking them out, you're just going to lose more fans. You're already one of the most hated GMs and front offices in league history. Yeah. Now kicking out the one people that are standing by you, they're at the game, despite you trading them.
Yeah.
They're paying money for you. They're the reason that you're going to be able to get new things. You're kicking them out just because they don't like the fact that you just traded away their generational superstar.
It's reasonable.
I completely agree with what you said. I mean, it's cheap, but I mean, as a team owner, I mean, they want the fans like them. And even if they make decisions that even sometimes we question, they want what's best for the team, and it's a business. Yeah. And as fans, I mean, maybe that's not really your thing. I mean, yes, you want your best players to stay, but as a business, it was the best business venture, according to them. I mean, I don't exactly think it's best for them, but that's what they thought, and their fans are going to have to live with that. Either stop being a Mavs fan, or you got to stop pouting about it.
I mean, so the Mavs fans already weren't happy with the trade, but now they've lost Anthony Davis. This guy is out for a little bit at least because he went down with a non-contact injury in the first game where he played phenomenal. He had one of his best games he's had all season, and then he goes down and is out with the Mavericks. The Mavericks are, it's just a crap show there right now, guys.
I was actually kind of happy about the AD trade. I think that, I mean, I know it wasn't very smart, but I think I saw the vision. I mean, obviously from the Mavs perspective, it was a stupid trade for them, but from the just analytical, we're trying to get better on defense and trying to win now, I see what they were going for. But that's what you get when you trade for a guy who is injury prone. When you complain about a guy who's not conditioned. I just don't see it. I mean, it's just ironic, very, very ironic that the guy who's injury prone gets injured in the first game with the Mavericks.
The basketball gods were smiling on that one. I mean, it's just too perfect. And it sucks because, honestly, I've been one of the very few believers that what Nico Harrison did was not fully wrong. I do not believe that him trading Luka. Here's the thing. The fans are happy with Luka. The team was good. But here's what matters. Luka Doncic was owed $369 million next year for 6 years. If you as a GM and a front office do not believe that he is your best player, why pay him the most money in the league? So as a team, they decided he's not their best player, so they're not paying him. To me, I feel like that's just business 101.
I see both sides of whether you hate it or you are okay with it.
No one loves it, but
no one loves it, obviously. Yeah. I mean, the Lakers love it, but he's the best player in the league when he's healthy, Luka, in my opinion, and the Mavericks should have paid him. That's just my thought. I mean, Luka gives you the best chance to win in the future. I would have paid Luka the money that he deserves.
I don't think Luka wins a championship in the West with the team that they were on. I don't.
I mean, they were right there last year. They're right there last year.
I agree with Jace.
Once they played against a healthy veteran team, they got whooped.
We'll look into Luka. Now he's with LeBron. Of course, LeBron gets his way again. That's just how things have gone in his career. Luka Doncic, LeBron James, we've seen the duo play a few games together now. What's your first thoughts on how this is working out?
Luka is he has the impossible task of knocking off rust and knocking off being on a new team. And he looks, I'm going to be honest with you, he does not look good right now. And it's not Lakers fans are gonna be, oh my God, he's so bad. No, he's not playing good right now because he hasn't played in a month and a half, and he's getting there. Luka to me is still a top 5 player. I have a lot of respect for him. I think he's good. I do question the fit and where this team goes without a true center.
Without a true center, this team is awful defensively. Across the board, I mean, this is not a good defensive team. We saw through the first couple of games, they shoot a lot of threes now. Almost 10 or I think it was 10 or 12 more than they average. This is going to be the Lakers moving forward. This Lakers team is going to be shooting a lot of threes, and they're going to be playing not great defense, and they're going to try to outscore you. That's what they're going to become, and I don't know if they can sustain that through a playoff run. I don't think they can outscore everybody in the playoff run, especially with teams that are very good defensively like the Timberwolves and the Nuggets. And I mean, I just don't think that they can sustain that and win a championship right now with Luka playing how he is, not great, and LeBron aging.
I think their whole game plan fell to shambles when Mark Williams' trade got protracted. Because, I mean, he was the center that they needed for that defensive piece, for that guy to fill this starting 5 out, and they lost it because the guy failed his physical. Yeah. It just sucks for the Lakers as a squad, but it makes them, like you said, one-dimensional. It makes them an offensive team, makes them the Pacers of the West, basically.
I was going to say the same. It's the Pacers of the West with a better superstar.
Exactly. My point exactly. They just have stars, but they can't play defense.
I mean, both better stars, we're being honest.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's just how the Lakers are. I mean, it's the Lakers. Come on, they're going to be better stars either way. But it's now All-Star Weekend, and it means All-Star games coming up, and we have a new format for it. So there's 3 All-Star teams and then 1 Rising Stars team. Whoever wins that Rising Stars game will play as the 4th team. What's your guys' thoughts on this new format that they're presenting? Do you think it'll change anything, make it more competitive, or?
I hate it.
Okay.
I hate it. Just straight out. I think it has to start with someone has to go out there and play hard, and I think that will bring it back. Until someone goes out there and plays hard and competes with somebody, anything they do is not going to be fun for the All-Star game. Nothing they can do will fix effort. There's always the thing as a player when any coach should ever talk to you, effort. I can't fix your effort. And you can't fix the effort of the All-Star game, you're not going to be able to fix the All-Star game. Until you see that effort, nothing's going to happen.
I think there needs to be an incentive.
That's what I was going to say. I have one exactly in my head right now.
I want to hear that incentive. What are you feeling?
East versus West like it used to be. Winner of it gets home court advantage in the NBA Finals.
I like that. I like it a lot, actually. The West, yeah, I think that's a really good idea. I think incentive. I do like what they're doing, though. I do think the Rising Stars being, included is going to be interesting. They're going to get smacked.
They're going to get smacked.
But it'd be really cool to kind of see them get an opportunity up on that stage. It's cool. It's interesting. But it's still not the All-Star game that we grew up playing.
I mean, it's cool and interesting to a point to where, they're just chucking a whole bunch of threes and not playing any defense.
Oh, boy.
No one's going to watch it.
From 70 feet away.
He's just half-court heaves from every team. I just don't think it's going to be competitive. Yeah. No one's going to want to watch it until you pump up the effort.
But what is competitive right now is the what is it, Charles?
4 nations.
4 nations in the NHL. I won't be on it, as you can tell, but it'll be Charles and Jackson next on Grand Slam Sports.
From the courts to the ice, we're going to be taking a quick break away from the NHL. And now 4 Nations begins with NHL being on a little bit of their own little all-star break. 4 Nations, we get to see the first matchup between Canada and Sweden, which was, in my opinion, so far the matchup of the tournament. Jackson, how are you feeling about this matchup?
I liked how Sweden came out and played. I mean, Canada was supposed to be the easy winner of this one and took it into overtime. A 1-goal win for Canada, and you still have to take that as, is this same Canada team that we've seen in the past few years in the Olympics?
I mean, yeah, this Canada team, it is getting a little bit older. I mean, currently their points leader in that last game was Sidney Crosby, who is, on the back end. And I think that the Canada team still look like the Canada team that we still are used to. I mean, Canada is still the best nation for hockey. It stands by that. I stand by it. And we'll talk a little bit more into it. But I think Sweden is really the team that we're going to kind of focus on because they came out and they looked good. They forced a top Canada team to overtime, and it took a walk-off goal to take them out of it. I think Sweden, they put themselves as a good team and really did impress me there.
Absolutely. You look at the Sweden team, they don't look like this fantastic built team that takes Canada in the finals, but they just played hard, and they definitely took it to the end, making Mitch Marner score that game-winning goal, but eventually took Canada. It took them an entire game and then some to win this one.
Yeah, extra time. We saw, Mitch Marner, Maple Leafs legend, come in, score that walk-off goal. And I think the Canada team, was a little bit slow. Bennington gave up a few mistakes. I know, your St. Louis Blues goalie. Bennington's been prone to that. I think that he's going to be their biggest question mark, with him being the starting goalie, is where, is he going to be the safe option against a team like USA? They will be playing against USA on Saturday. But speaking of that, we're going to be going into the USA versus Finland matchup, which, if you want to call it that, it was not a matchup. USA absolutely dominated Finland. What did you see there, Jackson?
I saw a fantastic USA team pull out a fantastic win. I mean, Finland definitely, looking at their team, you thought probably the worst team out of the four. And this USA team just proved that. The Chuck brothers played fantastically together. They've been playing together their entire life. I mean, they're brothers. They're a few years apart.
Yeah.
Went to high school together. And now they showed up and they showed out and really proven what this USA team can be.
I do believe that they are going to be one of the biggest openings of what makes this U.S. team actually able to compete against the Canada team. Canada, for years, almost decades now, has been the nation of hockey. Let's be honest. It's where you will go to watch hockey. The best teams are in Canada. And I think the brothers are doing a great job at, getting some eyes on USA. I mean, we just had one of them. They scored 4 goals together. I mean, and that was 4 of their 6. I mean, they absolutely dominated Finland. I think that they were on their end of the ice most of the game. They had way higher possession, and they took advantage of the power play opportunities that they were given. I think that is what really separated them from a Finland team that just couldn't get any momentum going.
And I feel like this is the USA team that can defeat a Canada team finally. It's been years after years in the Olympics and the World Juniors and all of these international competitions that we've seen Canada's run through every team, and it's kind of been how the U.S. is in basketball, how they just dominate. But now we have a USA team that can kind of compete and kind of show that maybe your U.S. hockey is still there.
Yeah, I mean, the U.S. is losing baseball, but we're trying to get back hockey. So as we kind of look at it, 4 nations. There's only one winner. 4 nations, 1 winner. It's a round-robin tournament. All the teams will be playing against each other once. 2 best teams will be going into a final. Obviously, let's be honest, we're talking about Canada versus USA. So we're going to talk a little bit about the 3rd place. What are we thinking between Finland and Sweden? Who's that 3rd place team?
I mean, I like the Sweden team. I mean, they were able to take this Canadian team to overtime. This Finland team did pretty much the exact opposite of that. Just got dismantled by this U.S. team. Both Canada and U.S. are very strong teams, and I think that's why you have to take Sweden, or that Finland loss. The Finland team is still good, but that Sweden team, I just think, is so much better.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see Finland and Sweden play against each other tomorrow, and I think we're going to see who's actually the best team, and I do believe that Sweden will come out with that. But I do think that Finland is being overlooked because they played against a hot USA team. Finland is a great nation for hockey and one of the leading nations, and I think they're even more famous than Sweden at hockey. So I do believe that we'll see kind of what they can prove. But now we go Canada, USA. Who we have taken this one?
I got to take the USA. I mean, I just got to cheer for my nation.
Eagles reach.
I think they have the most talent. I like Bennington in goal. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game when they do play each other tomorrow. I feel like that's going to be what we're going to see in the finals. It's just going to be a rematch of those two going at it, and I feel like I'm kind of excited to see what happens tomorrow because I think that'll determine the final score.
I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think it's still Canada's. I think Canada will always be the nation for hockey, and obviously a lot of my family we're Canadian, and hockey runs in their blood, and that is where I do believe Sidney Crosby's still on the better end. Their goal scoring is a lot more spread out, and I do believe that they have a lot more star power, and they're better more set off to go win those deep games compared to if the Chuck brothers don't play well, they're losing, and that's why I feel like it is currently at. Now, as we go into the topic, this is the first time since 2016 that we've seen the 4 Nations tournament. What do you believe this does for the sport of hockey in general?
A lot. I mean, it's going to get a lot of fans who aren't massive hockey fans cheering for their country. And that's what, we look at baseball doing that with the World Baseball Classic, football trying to go more international, and basketball doing the same thing with the FIBA tournaments. Mm-hmm. It's going to bring in this new set of fans that just want to root for their country, but then they start going into a little bit more into the sport, and the ratings are going to go up.
Yeah, I think there needs to be more than 4 nations because the 4 nations they have in are the most popular nations in all of hockey. But at the same time, I do believe it is bringing a little bit more eyes to it. There's no NHL. You watch this. No matter what fan you are, if you like hockey, you're watching this. And it's nationally televised, which is something that hockey struggles with. I do believe it's a good way of getting more fans, but I do think they need to bring in a few more nations. Even if they get whooped, it's a good way of bringing more fans in. And I do believe that it's the best way for them to really turn the page, because hockey is a growing sport. I mean, we even have some people in the department that they went to their first hockey game this year, and they were pretty entertained. So I do believe that hockey, once you give it the chance, once you get to watch it, a lot of fans are starting to go in because it's fast-paced. But the biggest thing has been their accessibility. So that is going to be all from Grand Slam Sports. You know, happy Valentine's Day as we see our lovely boss, Rick Dunkel, on the seal from the Super Bowl ad. And, you know, I'm going to have a good Valentine's Day. I hope you enjoy your concert. I hope everyone at home has a good night as well. I'm Charles Foster with Jackson Strasburger. Have a good night.